This is Justin Scoop on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. And we got a bullish candle on the daily. Look at that. So six bear candles. I did look back. It's been a while since we had six bear candles. Today was the the low to the high was engulfing yesterday. But we did have a lot of selling come in right at the close. You can see here we sold off. The key level throughout today was the 100 exponential moving average that we've been talking about. It's like, hey, look, we were staying below that yesterday, and we played right off of it today. So really good level to have on your chart. Let's go look at the 3 minute and kind of frame up the day, and then take a look at a couple of the things you could have played. Anybody could have played really nice kind of stair step here, and ever so slightly downward. You could draw that with kind of um, where the bodies were. The lows a little bit off, but a little bit down or a little bit sideways. However you draw that, it definitely consolidated, right? And then it broke out. Clearly broke out. What I love about options, and we'll get into that shortly, is when it did this low played right back into these lows on some of the calls. Same with over here. Played right back into some of those lows. So you don't have to be in on that initial trade. You just got to wait. And oh, look, this tagged the 100. This tagged the 100. Let me get the lines off of here. Actually, maybe I'll use this as a thumbnail. So let's just keep going. So we got to bounce off the 100 once and twice, and this one really ran. Here's that bullishness, kind of got an S curve, continuing up. And then even this, so the framework here is we had a high, a hesitate, and a trap. Because I think this was a higher high than over here, but it's around the same price, but maybe a little bit higher. So if that's a trap, we should expect some sort of reversing. So look at that. We got kind of a double top shape, broke down, retested. Now the retest was kind of a rest after battle, stair step sort of thing, but then it didn't break down. All the while, we're literally going sideways for like an hour and a half, doing nothing. And then it's like, okay, all that time, the 100 is coming back up. And so we sell down finally into it. When we came down to the 100, we actually took out this low, also significant, because that's where we bounced before after that double top. And then, oh, look, we put in another kind of stair step right on top of the 100, and it really should have gotten going, and it didn't. And then it sold off sharply into the close, and it came down a good level, but it came down kind of back into the range of some stuff going on over here on the left. So let's do this. I don't know how long this has been recording, so I'm gonna have to play this later. I thought there was a timer somewhere. I'm gonna have to play this later and grab a screenshot of that. So I need to do that now. Okay, so now let me turn off all the lines and things that I drew, and you can see that. Yep, tag the 100. Oh, yep, tag the 100. Oh, yep, tag the 100. Got a really nice bounce. Eat bounce, even better bounce. And then this one, no bounce, collapse. So multiple different things going on in relation to the 100. So let's zoom out and see what's going on with some of the options. So if we go back out, well, it's a little bit slow. Okay. Hopefully my internet stays on. It dropped last night. That was weird. Okay. So I was talking about this through here, and then this and this. All right. So the low here matches up with the low, and the low here matches up with the low here, and the low here matches up with the low here. Well, all of these were around $1.50. This one, the higher of the lows, was 1.45. So you literally could have had an option set up to buy at 1.5, even buy at 2 and a stop down at 1. The low through here was 1.13. So it would have been really close to getting stopped out at $1 had you got bought at 2 and a stopped out at 1, but that's $100 risk. There you go. And then you can clearly see if you had held on for a while, it made it all the way up to 10 eventually. This is it shapes up differently here than over here. This is not shaping up to be a high and a hesitate and a trap. That this level did not get back above that. Actually, while we're at it, let me turn off that. Let's see where this high was. So this high was 68.29 and 69 cents, and the high over here was 68.29 and 42 cents. So it was higher by, oh, this was 78 cents. Okay, let's make that bigger. Okay, so this bear candle was slightly higher than this bull candle by, what was that, 30 something cents? What did I say? 78 cents versus 42 cents. So 36 cents higher. That's it. 36 cents higher. Technically a trap. So that's the framework for this area. And then it reversed. So you can see some of that reversing happen. The key levels to look at on the call is to see that, hey, we kind of put a good base right here. And then once we broke through that, we retested back to that level. And this just keeps showing up, just depends on the option. And then we start to push down like this, and the call through the, or I'm sorry, the puts through that time are kind of doing the same thing. They're going somewhat lower. That wasn't really the channel. They're kind of going lower, right? Some lower highs, low lows, right? Okay. And then we put another low here. And like, when do we interact with that? Okay, so we didn't really break it there. I gotta get rid of some lines. Here, there we go. Okay, so here's a low. We don't exactly like we go lower, but we kind of recover. And then we come back up here, which isn't related to anything really. But then we start to break down. Okay, this one, this low definitely takes out that low. And we got to close lower. And now we retested somewhat into that range there. And so that's where things really get moving. So at this point, it is like 215, right? So we come over here at like 215, and we're still kind of putting in some of these lows here. And that's still all of this. So we haven't even done this yet. That was even later. Um, that would have been, yeah, that would have been this area. I don't know that we would have been looking at the 68.25 then. Probably not. I think probably, come on, this is really being slow today. Let's go look at the 68.10. That's not the 68.10. That's not what I typed. 68.10. Okay, so we're on like five plus $5, a little bit more than that. All through here, we get in. Oh, I love it. We've got a low that pulls back through and below $1. So it could have bought for $1 really easily. Could have bought over here for 0.3. Gotten three of them for $1. But we pulled down to below $1. Actually, the low here was 0.55. So not quite getting two for $1, but then we really started to move. I think it would have been tough to hold into the close unless that's your plan. But if you bought it $1, okay, it's immediately not working, which is always kind of annoying. It's like, oh, now I'm losing this, you know, within minutes. I'm wrong. You start telling yourself that's the thing. It's like, okay, do I just get out? Do I just get something back? I'm going to take a loss anyway. And then it starts to go. It's like, oh, now I'm positive. Now it's like, okay, it's doubled. All right, where's my previous high? So let me get out at like 3, right? And so you get out, and then it pulls back, and it's like, okay, good, I got out. That was the right thing. And then it skyrockets. It's like, what? Why didn't I stay in? That's the second guessing. I've done that so many times. Please learn from me. And you take some profits, get something growing, play with the house money. Okay. But then start to have a plan for how you're going to hold through the emotions of having something double, triple, whatever, and it's going to pull back sharply because this is just how the options move. And so if I go back to, let's go back over to call. Come on. There we go. Think about it. If I go a little tighter, let's go 15 because we're already breaking down. What I'm looking for is at what price do we actually, nope, that doesn't recover like at all. I mean, like we have a little bit of buying here, but I don't think that's going to do it justice. Maybe the 10, well, we may have to just go the same strike and see if this cooperated. Nope, I'm not seeing buying here either. So I think this is just how things were moving. Um, yeah, when this, I guess, okay, this is kind of hard to show because this is kind of small. Actually, let me do this before I draw. Let me tighten in on this move. There we go. Okay. So when we made this lower wick right here, oh, not drawing, that lower wick, that is that upper wick, and that is that lower wick. Okay. So it's the fourth to last candle of the day. So it matches up everywhere on the calls, the puts, everything. But we actually turn, so this one's bearish, this one's bearish, this one somehow turns bearish. This is where the market makers are like pulling extra premium out, dropping that price a little bit more. And there's even the potential this will bounce, but all three of these are bear candles, which technically we shouldn't really have if we're going down. The put should be positive, right? It should be a positive candle. Well, it's not. And so then the next candle is inside. And what do? We actually make lower high, lower low over here, lower high, lower low inside. So it's like the options are acting the same because it's right at the end of the day. Right at the end of the day, market makers don't want to push more premium into this. Options out of the money are trying to go to zero. Obviously, the call on the left is trying to go to zero in a hurry. The put on the right here, that is not sure what's going to happen. And I'm talking about it like it can think, but all it's doing is moving with the Greeks, moving with how things are moving during the day. One thing I just thought that might work better with this is to get a little more granular. So let's go dive into the 1 minute and let's see what we can do, kind of focus in on this. So, is that the candle? Yeah, fourth to last candle on the 3 minute. We're right here in that range. Okay, so this was a bull candle on the 1 minute. Here's another bull candle on the 1 minute. If I do the same thing over here with the call, let's see if we have any bullishness coming in through here. Oh, look at that. Same bull candle on a 1 minute. Interesting how that works. And then we'll do the 1 minute over here. We'll see. Okay, there is, narrow it down a little bit more. There's a bear candle. There's a bear candle. Okay, so the 1 minute, everything is the right color. The candles are the right color. They're moving in the right directions. On the 3 minute, things are a little bit off. But I mean, you got to be if you're trading right at the close, please be on a 1 minute or less. Or 1 minute, a 30-second chart. Like, please, you can have multiple time frames open. You can be looking at a 3 minute, see like, hey, how's this been moving? Where are the levels? But when you're actually trading it, um, I think it helps to be on a small time frame if you're going to really focus in on this because what this started to look like, and let me get the drawing tool back. Okay, so we stair stepped here, broke down. We got a little bit of a hammer and a bounce. This should technically be a morning star reversal, and we should continue up. We did not. We immediately continued to push lower. We got an upper wick, we got a bull candle with a lower wick. It's like we're trying to buy. We're trying, but nothing's going up, nothing's staying up. And at some point here, the bears are just going to run this thing down. And so all this time that you've got these wicks, you've got the opposite direction, you got things framing up like, okay, we should, it's been a bullish day, we should keep going up. It's like that's just gonna all that sentiment is just gonna fail. And it happens not in this candle, but this candle. It starts just take it out, took out the low. So let's go this candle. That one is the fifth to last 1 minute candle. And you can see here in this one, the put is now breaking out above all these highs. We were held by all these highs that the market maker is not willing to give up the premium. Okay. And then same thing over here. Let's see. Here's kind of the lows, relative lows, and then we're in the fifth to last candle. Now we brought it below one, and it's going to race down to zero. Like in three candles, we're down to next to nothing. Okay. But over here, that's where it starts to go. And so if you miss this, there's a couple things you can do. You can very quickly go out another strike or two, ideally one. But this is what you've got to choose. You got to look at how this works. Um, so during the day, I was like, hey, towards the end of the day, 68.10. Okay, that's already going. Let me, jump over to 68.05. Is it really going to go? You start to second guess again. So you got to have a really clear plan on how you're going to handle this. And also, the option only has minutes to go. So at this point, I switched over to SPY because SPY, I've got till 3:15 Central Time, and I don't have to be out in 4 minutes. I technically have, or 5 minutes. I don't have just 5 minutes. I've got 20 minutes. I'd much rather work with 20 minutes, even if I'm not going to make as much because, it's still going to move. Um, so instead of jumping to 68.05, I jumped over to SPY and got in and out of a trade in a minute and made a nice little gain in a minute, basically on that candle, on what it was on SPY. That candle moved. I was out even before that candle closed in that minute. Um, but yeah, it was a great trade because it was dropping. Like this drop, we kind of paused here. I was able to get in this lower wick, there was some buying. The option I was in, the price dropped a little bit more, came right into my entry. And then the very next candle, it just collapsed. Can't really even see that. It just drove straight down. It just collapsed. And the put I was in just ran up. Now, obviously, it's not going to double like this from, 5 to 10. That's a bigger move on the 68.10. But on SPY, it doesn't have to do too much, doesn't have to go too far. So actually, um, the option I was in went from basically tripled. Uh, so I was in at 0.08 and I exited at 0.25, and it just went really quick. So it tripled, the option tripled. So that was phenomenal for that to happen. I'm talking about, I should just show it. Let me clear this and let's go look at, so this will let me switch it. Okay, so SPY today and 670. What was that price? 678. So give me a sec. Let me zoom in on this because I'm talking about it. Okay. It's still at 1 minute. And I'll keep it open here to 3:15 or 3:14. So in at this candle, no, this candle. So 256. It's like, okay, it's starting to go. I got in at 0.08 and I got on this candle on 0.25 because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to sustain. It did. And I was doing the second guessing. Oh, why didn't I just stay in when I let it go? Because when I first set up the trade, it set it up with entry at 0.08. Well, that's what I set it to. And then when I set up the exit order, it just goes to zero point 0.5 higher. So it went to 0.58 as the exit, and I pulled that in to 0.25. Well, look where it got to in the last minute. Got to 0.63. So it would have actually worked. And actually would have worked. Nope, not this candle. Would have worked right into the close. So, but I was actually very happy to get in and out of this in a minute or maybe a minute and a half. But I was in on the 256 and out on the 257, and then it kept going a little bit higher here. But if you can get out before the 3 o'clock, go for it. There's times where it'll keep running, like running after hours. I was actually looking to get in. I like to switch strikes. So I was actually looking for a different strike, but to get in somewhere down here, it's like there's no way it's not going to move that far, and it did. So I could have gotten into the 677 and that pullback. I'm like, oh, I should have done that. So it pulled all the way down here to 0.01. So I probably could have gotten in at point 0.2 and gotten out at point 0.1. So point 0.02 up to point 0.1. So that's 0.08 times each contract, which is, $8 a contract, so however many contracts you do. But that still would have worked. I mean, way down here, it's like, is it really going to go? And it started to run. So anyway, that's an actual trade I took today, and I'm going to go back and look at some of the trades I missed because there was a lot that I missed today. But there was had going on and just couldn't. Oh, I typed something in wrong. I typed in the wrong strike. 68. Let's see what the 6800 did. So I wasn't able to trade the way I wanted to today, but I was happy with just a trade in and out for me. And it's always cool to have those because it's like, wow, look what I can do in a minute. Now, if I extrapolate that, and there's, you know, 390 minutes in a day, uh, or I guess 405 minutes in the day that the SPY is open, but it's not going to happen every minute, obviously. So this one could have been buying very inexpensively. It came down to point 0.1. Not that you would have been filled there, but let's look at the same time we're looking at. So at 256, let's see you got in at 0.25. So $100 risk. Let's buy four of those. So 0.25, and you want to get out as soon as it starts to run. And so you're out at, let's say, $1.25, just for easy math. So you're out at 1.25. You got in at 0.25. That's a $1 per contract gain times four times $100 per contract or per, yeah, contract. An option represents 100 shares. So that's 400 bucks right there in a minute, literally in a minute, actually in the same minute, because the low here is 0.25. So if that had filled, but it would have filled on this candle. So, and that's 6,800, which we did end up getting into the money. If you did the 6,805, this would have cost a little bit more at 256. But see how it's still just consolidating, and then it's like, okay, what's it going to do? Is it really going to go? Okay, so this one, buy at $1. Just have it set up. Hit the order to buy at $1 and get out. Gosh, this one went up to $6, 6.8. Buy at $1, exit at 5. It's another way to do it. So that would have been, again, $400 gain in a minute with just one contract. So saving on some commissions doing one contract versus the 6,800 with four contracts. So that would have worked. But see the same kind of shape. Like we've got kind of relative tops. We got some increasing lows, right? This candle starts to break out. This candle comes back into this kind of triangle consolidation, and then it just goes. Like you're literally, this is a great example. You're risking $1 right at this level for it to move somewhat significantly where it's already shown you it's starting to roll, you know, and you can catch that. And so just have your target set because if it's always annoying when it completely collapses. In this case, the put completely collapsing means that SPX is just roaring higher. But it was already showing you, this is the 1 minute again, it's already showing you it's rolling down. It's holding those resistances. If I go back to a 3 minute and wait for the chart, we failed here to go higher. We should have pushed back up at least to retest this consolidation. Nope, didn't even do that. All we did was retest back into that low. That's again just more confirmation. But with options, you don't have to be in. You can get in as it's going. Ideally, you're getting in on a candle that's going the opposite direction. So you get a little bit of a decrease in the price of the option. But if you waited for that, it didn't happen on the 3 minute. It happened on a 1 minute. Happened probably on a 30-second chart also. It's just kind of watching for that kind of stuff. Getting a little more granular. The price that we consolidated here, just to kind of bring this full circle, we got into this high yesterday, right? So that was pretty much almost to the low of Monday and closed the island, right? So today we pushed even higher, pushed back and actually touched that. So further closing the island. Well, the island was closed over here. So this one stayed open to the candle, the you know, Tuesday, no, the Monday to Tuesday gap was still open candle to candle. We still didn't push back up to the actual closing price. But then we pushed back up a little bit further into these lows. It's like, is there anything else a little more significant? Here is that another place that we kind of bounced right here where I'm holding the cursor. And we ran into that first high, and then we got that hesitation and then that trap. So all of that was in relation to kind of this, not exact. So it's, it's not lining up perfectly. I don't see anything else that's showing me this, this is the exact range here that's going to be the high. But yeah, I definitely see the high hesitate trap price, but I don't see anything going on to the left. Had there been, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's because of that. The only other thing I'm seeing here, let's try this. Duplicate. And I'm going to drag this over. It'll cooperate. Okay, so kind of got, it's not very clean. Did we do this that day? No, that was still too high. Okay, what I'm trying to do is just see if I extend to the right, does that line up with something? It cuts through it, but then if you take out these, like half a dozen 3-minute candles, could I technically move that to the right? Oops, don't do that. Could I move this to the right a little bit? No, it's still not going to line up. Okay, I was hoping someone would line up, be like, oh, yep, there's the resistance. I'm not seeing it here. So, I am seeing one more thing, just comparing yesterday and today on the 3-minute. Let me draw this. So I'm seeing these lower wicks, and these are the ones that took out the low, the open low. Remember, this was like 4 cents higher. Okay. So at open, we pretty quickly started to push lower, but the bulls were here. The bulls were here, and even though we were pushing lower, see all the lower, oh, that was too much. See all the lower wicks? Right at, I can't draw a straight line, very short straight line. All right, one more try. That's better. Okay. So all these lower wicks below the open low yesterday, and that was it. Bears didn't have any more in them. They did not push this lower, which would have been a great consolidation, like that sort of shape, and then push lower. Didn't even have that. Um, we went up, retested. So if you kind of extend that way, there's that first retest. Then we got a second retest here. Um, Obviously, this would be steeper like this, so it's not the way I drew it. But anyway, if you want to get into your own chart and kind of draw some of these consolidations, I'm sure you can do that, and you can figure out, okay, was there some line here that acted as an old resistance, new support, and did we run into it? The biggest one I'm seeing is, hey, look, here is where we were at yesterday, going sideways, right? Didn't mean to draw that going in up angle. It's just how my hand is moving on the mouse. Okay, there's that one, and then there's like that one, and then we tag that. We came right back in. So we had a false breakout to the bottom, had a real breakout on top, retest, real breakout, S curve, and gone. Right? That's what that is. So we broke out above the high, the sideways channel. I'm just trying to draw it sideways. The 100 came into it, broke out, S curve to retest, broke out, S curve to retest into the 100, and then we rallied. So when you look at it like this, it's like, oh, look, hey, how things move today are connected to where things were at yesterday. So, all right. There's plenty more options to look at from today. I'm going to go do some of that myself. I've been talking about this for a little bit. But yeah, I really hope this helps because just kind of being able to break the day down like this, I enjoy it. Hope you do too. This is Justin. Thanks.